Hi, I'm Laura Bowie, and I'll give the State of GOMA presentation for this first Wednesday webinar of the year. We started doing these a few years ago just to let people know we didn't go away as a result of the pandemic. So now we've had so much happening and so fast that we thought we'd catch everybody up at least once a year. First, I'm going to do just a little background on GOMA in case anybody is super new or in case we are super new to anyone. It'll totally help with context. So we are a regional network of stakeholders. We were initiated by the 5 Gulf state governors in 2004 to collectively address priority issues concerning the Gulf of Mexico. Our mission is to enhance the ecological and economic health of the Gulf of Mexico through increased regional collaboration. It's really those last three words that are key: increased regional collaboration. And that's what the governors were trying to foster all those years ago, and it's stuck. So even today, we're still meeting, we're still coordinating, we're still collaborating on priority issues concerning the Gulf. We have a strategic plan that lays out our priorities, which I'll give a little more detail on in a moment. You might be wondering, so who exactly is GOMA anyway? Well, we have approximately 1,000 plus active members. They're from state and federal agencies, from NGOs, from academia, and from businesses. There are about 150 organizations that voluntarily participate on teams and committees and working groups. And we have 2 advisory committees: a federal working group, which has about 150 people, and a business advisory council, which represents the 7 largest industries in the Gulf of Mexico. As you can see, this is our structure. This is the foundation. The foundation of GOMA is the governors, but they proxy the daily duties down to the directors of the natural resource agencies in the states. And they, along with our federal partners, EPA, Fish and Wildlife, and NOAA, govern GOMA. So we have 2 advisory committees that I mentioned a moment ago: a business advisory council and a federal working group. A small alliance staff keeps all the plates spinning. And then these blue and green boxes here at the bottom, that's where the real work gets done: the priority issue teams and the cross-team initiatives. This is our priority issue team leadership, just this slide. You're not intended to be able to read all of this. It's really just to show how many people it takes to make GOMA work. This is where the planning, the projects, and the real work gets done. Notice there's a lot of names and agencies on this slide, and that's for a reason. It's because it takes so many people to make this work. Each of our teams is chaired and coordinated by a state agency person, and that's in green font. And each of our teams also has a steering committee that's comprised of a representative from each of the other states, and that's in green font. And then each of our teams has representation from our federal partners who serve as liaisons to that team, and that's in blue font. Plus, there are so many more people who are instrumental in making these teams go. They just don't all fit on one slide. And these are our cross teams. As you can see, our cross teams are those where multiple priority issue teams get together to tackle very specific issues that cut across the interests of 2 or more priority teams. So again, this is just to show you how many people it takes to make this work. There's lots of moving parts. And team membership is completely voluntary. There are no membership dues. All you have to do is to attend a team or a cross-team meeting or a conference call, and you're a part of the team. To get on the mailing list for team announcements or meetings, just go to Join a Team link on our website. We're adding people all the time. And this is our GOMA staff. We're small but mighty. We really just keep the plates spinning. We added a few people in 2022, but we think we're about right sized now. Together, we oversee all the activities that GOMA is involved in on a daily basis, whether it's the GOMA teams or GOMRI Science, which is winding down, but it's still out there, or finding Gulf Star partners, or paying bills, or issuing grants and contracts. We're spread out across the region, but we can all be found on our website at www.gulfofmexicoalliance.org. So we had a lot going on in 22, and I wanted to provide a quick recap. Honestly, if I had to summarize it in just a few words, I'd say projects and meetings. That's what took up most of our time. So let's start with meetings. In case you weren't a part of it, nearly 900 people were there for our first ever joint meeting where the GOMA All Hands people combined with the annual GOMRI Go Moses meeting and combined with Heart's Gulf Summit. It was called GOMCON, as in Gulf of Mexico Conference, get it? We held it in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We had 868 people actually register in person at the conference. That many people actually checked in. So they weren't just registered people. That was how many people actually checked in. And as you can see, it was about 32% state and federal and local government. We had about 25% of our participants were from nonprofit and industry, and about 43% were from academia. We had over 300 scientific presentations and numerous collaborative meetings that happened that week. So, and we've started tackling projects from our new Governor's Action Plan 4. This is our latest strategic plan. It's the fourth in a series since 2009. And we have to have sign off by all 5 Gulf state governors you see there on the right-hand side in order to implement it. So in late 2021, we got that final sign off. We got all the signatures that we needed. So in 22, we were able to start on projects that address our priority issues. As you can see, we're on track to complete about 2/3 of them already, with about 1/3 left to address. With only being 1 year into our action plan, though, we're feeling really good about it. We are well on our way to achieving the goals that we outlined in our strategic plan just a short year and a half ago. So it's difficult to list all of our projects here. It could go on for, slide after slide after slide, right? But just know that each of our teams and our cross teams had at least one project to work on. Stuff like building resilience with tribes, or expanding our Gulf of Mexico open data platform, or investing in diversity interns at the state agencies, conducting living shorelines workshops, or investing in citizen science programs, encouraging crab fishers to use excluder devices for terrapin conservation, and combining conservation and resilience for some community planning in some of the cities across the Gulf. So just know that we had a lot going on. And we cannot implement our projects without funding. So most of you have heard of our Gulf Star program. It's a public-private partnership that leverages the federal and state funds that we have for projects against funds from our business partners. The ones you see here, these are our Gulf Star program partners for 2022. Each year we add more partners, and several of our partners add more money to the system. So this is how we've been so fortunate to be able to get a great jump start on a lot of the actions in our action plan. Now I'd like to mention something that happened just at the tail end of 2022. Regional ocean partnerships were officially authorized under NOAA. The authorization was an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that the President signed the very last week of the year. It formally recognizes the 4 regional ocean partnerships you see here, something that we've been working on together to achieve since about 2017. So you might be wondering, what does authorization really mean for GOMA, since we've been around for so long anyway? But it does, it's meaningful. It codifies several things, like it codifies that regional ocean partnerships have to be voluntarily convened by the governors, that we are able to focus on issues that are a priority for our region, regardless of what the nation is focusing on. It ensures that we have that we are inclusive and provide a voice for a wide variety of stakeholders, to include not only agencies, but also academia, our nonprofit friends, and business and industry. And it ensures that we are intentional. It just takes a little bit of intentionality, but we are intentional about coordination and collaboration across the region. So just so you know, In that authorization, it requires that the governance structure of each regional ocean partnership is slightly different, and the authorization language recognizes that, and it allows it. So it allows us to keep operating the way we have been. And lastly, it actually calls out the 4 existing regional ocean partnerships. Of course, GOMA for the Gulf, NROC for the North Atlantic, MARCO for the Mid-Atlantic, and WCOA or WCOA for the West Coast. There's language that allows other ROPs to form. And we expect that other regions might want to follow suit. So we had a lot going on in 22, but we're bracing for an even more active 2023, if you think about it. Just like in 22, we still have our Gulf Star funding, which we cannot do without. And in 2023, we'll also have bipartisan infrastructure funding from NOAA, specifically called out for regional ocean partnerships to implement priority action projects that are identified as priorities specifically for our region. So we're going to be cranking out projects for the next several years, if you think about it. So here's the question. Are you collaborative? Are you willing to share? Are you ready to learn? If so, then we need you. Like I said, there is no cost to being a member of a GOMA team. We need our team members to develop more and more project ideas that will address our priority issues. Anything we fund must bubble up from our priority issue teams that the governors have pre-approved. So if you have a great collaborative project idea, be sure to join a team. One project in particular that we're continuing into 2023 is our social media messages. Some of you, hopefully most of you, are following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Starting in just a little history, starting in 2020, we launched the Embrace the Gulf campaign as a way to put out positive messages about the Gulf of Mexico for a full 365 days throughout the year. It just so happens, if you remember, that the world shut down that year. And social was one of the best methods of communicating. But we were lucky that we had already designed a social campaign. But it really caught on, and it's probably because a lot of people were at home looking on social media. But we gained about 25,000 followers that year, and people were engaging and discussing the various topics. We heard teachers were using it as messages, using our messages for at-home curriculum for their kids. So it was so incredibly successful that we rolled it into 2021. But in 21, we did it more of a take action campaign. So that now that you know a lot about the Gulf of Mexico through our 365 messages the day before, now we were hoping to get people to support all of those good things about the Gulf of Mexico and what they learned in 2020. So then in 2022, we tweaked our campaign even further to what the Gulf gives, where we pushed out messages specifically about how we as humans benefit from the Gulf. So it's going back to educational type messages. And then this year we're doing Get into the Gulf. So again, trying to get people to take action, to really explore the Gulf of Mexico and all of its rich natural resources. So here we are, 4 years later, and we're still going strong. Our followers are really engaged, and we've doubled since we started. We have over 55,000 people on Facebook alone. But all of these campaigns have been sponsored by Clean Gulf Associates since the beginning, and they are really designed to make you feel good about the Gulf of Mexico and the good stuff that we get from it and how to take care of it. And then lastly, I wanted to mention meetings. So we've talked about projects for 23, and I wanted to mention what we have on the horizon for meetings in 2023. All of our priority issue teams will be meeting at the annual all hands meeting in Austin, Texas on June 26th through the 29th. Please make plans to be there and attend our team meetings if you are at all interested in being a part of a team or just keeping up with our teams. We'll have a reception. We'll have professional development that's provided by University of Texas McCombs School of Business. So that's really impressive. And we'll have a field excursion. So registration just opened last month. So please visit this web address below, gulfofmexicoalliance.org/announcements/all-hands-meetings, or there's a big green button at the top of our website. You can find it there too. I'll note that registration is just $175 beforehand or $200 at the door. This is because we really are being intentional about keeping our registration costs lower, so that we can get that wide and diverse stakeholder voice in the room at each of these team meetings. And at the all hands meeting in Austin, we're going to host a bi-national workshop with our colleagues from Mexico who are working on some of the exact same issues that we are. After all, we do share this great resource. And we've met with our Mexican colleagues before, but it's been a while if you've been around GOMA for a while. So since we're in Texas this year, we thought we should reinvigorate the collaborative spirit with our neighbors, working on issues like tourism, specifically related to healthy beaches and healthy waterways, stewardship, migratory birds, community resilience, non-regulatory water quality issues like HABs, and habitat restoration, specifically mangroves. So this is going to be a great addition to our all hands meeting that's going to happen on that Monday before everything gets started on Tuesday. So we're pretty excited about the year ahead. And you might be wondering why, but we're formally authorized. We have private Gulf Star funding. We have some infrastructure funding. We have meetings that are on the books and ready to go. So all of this means that we can do what we do best for the region. We can provide forums for collaboration. We can address regional issues. We can help to enable strategic partnerships. All of these things together make the Gulf healthier. And that's what GOMA is all about. So with that, I think I'm done and I can take some questions.